India's legal market is a $2.5 billion industry, operating on top of a system buckling under the weight of over 50 million pending cases. To understand where this profession is headed by 2056, we have to decode the data driving the last 2 decades of Indian litigation. This chart shows the volume of cognizable crimes registered across the country. In 2002, the system absorbed about 50 lakh cases. By 2024, that baseline pushed near 59 lakh, punctuated by a massive spike to over 66 lakh cases during the 2021 pandemic anomaly. But if you look at the per capita rate on the dotted blue line, the actual volume of crime per 100,000 citizens has fluctuated and recently declined, driven by population growth and shifts in policing strategies. The justice funnel opens incredibly wide at the local level. It absorbs a massive, volatile volume of disputes that immediately bottlenecks the system's processing capacity.
The life cycle of Indian criminal justice starts right here, at the local police station. जब एक FIR दर्ज होती है, वहाँ से एक्चुअल इन्वेस्टिगेशन का प्रोसेस शुरू होता है. पुलिस एविडेंस गैदर करती है और केस इवेंचुअली आइदर चार्जशीट बनकर कोर्ट पहुँचता है या क्लोजर रिपोर्ट के साथ खत्म हो जाता है. That transition to the trial stage is where the legal machinery takes over. This chart shows how the nature of those initial FIRs has evolved. Cybercrime barely existed in 2002. By 2024, it registered 8.5 lakh cases, overtaking physical assault and fraud to become the second largest crime category in the country. This graph maps the geographical paradox of legal demand. States with highly efficient reporting mechanisms like Kerala and Delhi show per capita crime rates far above the national average. Meanwhile, states like Uttar Pradesh and Bihar hold massive absolute case numbers but lower per capita reporting rates.
Overall, crime numbers don't guarantee local legal work. The demand for litigation is dictated by strict regional and technological boundaries. Relying on a traditional, localized law practice is no longer a safe baseline for a career. Once those cases leave the police station, they enter a court system currently suffocating under a backlog of 54 million pending matters. This chart shows the relentless upward trajectory of that backlog since 2010. The overwhelming majority of the pressure sits at the bottom tier, with district courts holding tens of millions of unresolved cases. These pie charts reveal a stark structural divide. District courts are bogged down by criminal matters, making up 77% of their docket. High courts face the exact opposite reality, where nearly 70% of the load comes from civil litigation and appeals. This graph points to a recent systemic recovery. Following a steep dip in efficiency during the pandemic, post-COVID disposal rates in district courts have climbed back to roughly 72%. Contrast that struggling traditional sector with the explosive demand in corporate, M&A, and insolvency law. These sectors face a shortage of highly specialized talent, resulting in premium billing rates and high salaries. This comparison illustrates how location dictates economics. Nearly 70% of that high-paying corporate demand is locked inside just 6 major metro cities, leaving non-metro lawyers fighting over high-volume, low-margin litigation. The Indian legal market operates in 2 parallel realities. A sprawling, overpopulated litigation sector fights for scraps at the local level, while a concentrated corporate elite generates billions in the metros. Post-2024, artificial intelligence is actively consuming legal data, threatening to automate specific, time-heavy tasks that used to sustain junior lawyers. This chart maps out exactly what AI targets first. Tasks like legal research, contract review, and compliance monitoring cross into the high-risk automation zone. Meanwhile, human-dependent skills like trial advocacy and strategic client advisory remain safely at the bottom. Simultaneously, the underlying legal framework has rebooted. The transition to the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita and the implementation of the Digital Personal Data Protection Act require practitioners to learn entirely new regulatory landscapes. Looking at the economic forecast through 2056, the highest growth will not come from the courtroom. Cyber and data privacy law, along with startup and venture capital advisory, are projecting massive double-digit growth rates. A lawyer can no longer survive by simply being a human library of past precedents. They have to evolve into strategic advisors capable of managing technology, AI integration, and complex data compliance. For new entrants, the low barrier to entry in local criminal litigation is a trap. It offers immediate courtroom experience but leads to the highest rates of professional financial struggle. Long-term wealth requires a deliberate pivot away from the crowded lower courts. The roadmap points directly toward mastering corporate structures, data privacy, and technological integration. The physical courts will always remain the bedrock of Indian justice, but the actual business of law has digitized, and the economic center of gravity has permanently shifted. To survive the 50 million case backlog and the automation revolution, the next generation of legal professionals must stop fighting within the confines of the system's past and start engineering its future.